Hey everyone, Michelle here, personal trainer and lifestyle coach. Today we are here to talk about our March 2024 theme of the month. Let's talk about pee, baby. So we are going to have a conversation about urination. Now, I wanted to put it straight in the title because I didn't want anyone to be uncomfortable or not understand that we were talking about urination. But that's going to be our topic, and we're going to dive a little bit more into hydration, why it's important to stay hydrated, and how you can stay hydrated. Now, why is hydration important? The CDC cites several reasons, but the top of them being thermal regulation of the body, protecting and lubricating your joints, protecting your spine and other tissues, and then waste elimination. Now, there are quite a few more reasons why water is important in the body. First, it is a universal solvent, so it actually helps a lot of the chemical reactions in your body. Next, it can actually act as a dietary regulator, which is a great way for us, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we talk about hydration, to be able to keep track of how full we are throughout the day and maybe even to keep ourselves fuller throughout the day. Another large piece is that it is a huge component of blood and that it delivers itself to all of our different muscles and allows for action potentials for those muscle activities. Now, how do you get dehydrated in the first place? Now, the most obvious reason is inadequate liquid intake, but there are several other factors that can also come into play. For example, if you are in a hot or a dry environment, if you are doing physical activity, especially if it's intense, or if you're consuming diuretics. And the next piece we want to talk about is how to know if you are properly hydrated. Now, the first one is a little bit obvious, but basically just continuing to consume liquids throughout the day is a great way to make sure that you're not dehydrated. Another is to use your thirst mechanism. But I used to have a college professor who said that if you are thirsty, then it's already too late. So sometimes that's not quite the best way to be able to tell if you are dehydrated or not. The goal is to kind of be proactive and figure out beforehand. So the general recommendation for water intake is about 8 ounces for the first 10 hours that you're awake. Now, the reason that's so specific is that some people do have issues with having to wake up in the middle of the night in order to have to go pee. So if we can limit the liquids that you intake toward the end of the day, then we can start to limit these disruptions as well. Another really great indicator of whether or not you are properly hydrated is the color of your pee. So if you were to watch the stream itself, not once it goes into the bowl, because at that point it's diluted, the goal is for it to be a lighter yellow color. There is a really great tool, it's basically a pee chart in one of these videos, and that could be good for reference, but generally speaking, the darker it is, the more likely it is that you're dehydrated. Now, where do we get this hydration and this liquid from? The first and primary, and probably should be the main thing that you're drinking, is of course going to be water. Now, with that being said, you do intake about 20 to 25% of your daily water requirement from water-rich foods. So you can pick foods that are water-rich like tomatoes or oranges. A lot of leafy greens have a lot of water in them. A strawberry is actually about 95% water. So these are really great ways to be able to introduce water without necessarily having to drink all of it. You can also ingest other liquids, but it is important to keep in mind that some of those liquids might be diuretics. For example, caffeine and alcohol can actually cause you to urinate more often, in which case you may not be getting the benefits from those liquids. The other type of liquids that you want to watch out for is really sugary liquids. Sugary liquids can also lead to frequent urination, and again, you won't be getting as much of that hydration as you would like. Now, a few things to consider while we are trying to work on our hydration and build better hydration habits. The first is the diuretics. Sometimes a doctor does need to prescribe diuretics in order to be able to flush out someone's system if they're retaining too much water. So if that's the case, then it's not like a diuretic is a bad thing, it just causes you to not keep as much water into your system. So that's important to keep in mind as well. The other piece is an electrolyte balance. Having more water is not always the only solution. We need to make sure that we have a good balance with our electrolytes because that's what makes the play with water in your system to be able to work toward those action potentials of your muscles and those neurons of your brain. So we want to make sure that we have a good balance of electrolytes and of water and not just one or the other. Also keep in mind that any major changes to your diet should be gradual. This is going to allow you to be able to create a better habit, not only for adherence, but also to make sure that your system gets used to the changes that you're making. And of course, the last thing to keep in mind is that with increased hydration, you will also probably have increased frequency of urination, in which case you need to be prepared for that as well. So now that we've got a better idea about some of the features of hydration, we're going to take this month to really work on it. We're learning about hydration and also being able to implement it to make sure that we are properly hydrated. I will include some resources below. Please let me know if you guys have any questions, and I look forward to talking with you soon.